So I think the protests are really starting to bug them. I don't know if it's the number of protests or the number of people protesting or the fact that the protests really aren't going away and they keep seeming to grow. I don't know if it's the tenor and good humor and peaceful nature of the protest that's bugging them, but I think they are really getting bugged. I think it is really getting under their skin. And here's one way we can tell. Let's say you're the head of a big car company, and then something happens to your car company. And it's not happening to all car companies. It's not happening to the car sector, right? In fact, it's not happening to any other car company at all. It's only happening to your car company, and it's not good. Headline, CNN, Tesla profits plunge. Headline, Washington Post, Tesla earnings plunge. Headline, New York Times, Tesla's 71% drop in profit. Headline, USA Today, Tesla profits fall 71%. Headline, Wall Street Journal, Tesla profit sinks. Headline, Reuters, Tesla sales skid. If you are the head of a company that is having a day like that, how do you spend that day? How do you spend that day that news breaks everywhere? Because, I mean, headlines like that are bad enough, but you look at the details, it's even worse. I mean, Tesla was expected to earn 41 cents per share. They came in at 27 cents per share. That's like not only below market expectations, it's really, really below market expectations. The first quarter of last year, Tesla made $1.4 billion. The first quarter of this year, we learned today, you can drop the billion off of that. They went from $1.4 billion in the first quarter of last year to $0.4 billion this quarter. And even that was less than it appears. Tesla not only had that 71% drop in profit off of what they did last year, the profit they did have is not from selling cars. Quote, Tesla would have actually lost hundreds of millions of dollars this quarter had it not earned $400 million in interest on cash and investments, and had it not earned $595 million from selling credits to other car makers, which themselves failed to meet emissions regulations. So yeah, it looks like they made $0.4 billion. It looks like they made $400 million, but they would have been $600 million in the negative for this quarter. They would have lost $600 million this quarter if they hadn't had cash and investments, interest payments, and credits that were paid to them from other car companies because of anti-climate change government programs. That's what filled up their balance sheet. Just a catastrophe. And to add insult to injury, the CEO's favorite of all his vehicles, at least the one he really, really, really likes to talk about and show off as much as possible, that is turning out to itself be the biggest disaster of all. Quote, the Cybertruck, Tesla's newest vehicle, which consumed a lot of the company's resources while it was being developed, is looking increasingly like a flop. Sales of the Cybertruck in the first quarter were down about 50% from the last quarter of last year. And they weren't all that good in the last quarter of last year. President's top campaign donor is bothered by your protests. He said today, unasked, on this disastrous earnings call about the cratering of his car company, the stock price of which, incidentally, is the basis for basically all his wealth. He said today on that call, volunteered, that these protests, they're all a hoax. But he also had to reassure investors that he is going to scale back his involvement in the Trump administration in coming weeks. And we shall see. But, but if he thinks the protests against him in the streets are some kind of artificial trick, some kind of paid hoax, and people don't really dislike him, who's going to tell him about the polling? Because separate and apart from the protests, the polling in many ways is even worse. And it is bad for him and also for Trump. And for Trump, it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse with each new poll. For example, the new Reuters Ipsos poll that's out today. Do you approve of the job Donald Trump is doing as president? No, by an 11-point margin. Do you approve of Donald Trump's performance on the economy? No, by a 14-point margin. Should Donald Trump withhold funding from universities he disagrees with? No, by a 29-point margin. Should President Trump take control of national museums and theaters? No, by a 52-point margin. Should Donald Trump obey court orders that he disagrees with? Should President Trump obey court orders that he disagrees with? Yes, he should obey those court orders. 83% of Americans say yes, he should. Only 13% say no. That is a 70-point margin. That's Reuters Ipsos polling out today. New polling out today also from CNBC. Do you approve of the job Donald Trump is doing as president? Nope, by a 7-point margin. Do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of the economy? Nope, by a 12-point margin. Do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of tariffs? Nope, by a 16-point margin. Do you approve of Donald Trump's handling of inflation? No, by a 23-point margin. CNBC also asked, do you think we're going to have a recession in the next year? Americans say yes by an 8-point margin. Then they ask the follow-up question, well, if we do have a recession in the next year, will you blame Trump for it? Yes. Yes, we will, by a 20-point margin. But also, look at this. This is not just for Trump. This is also for Musk. This is also from today's CNBC poll. Do you have a positive or negative view of the U.S. auto industry as a whole? Positive, plus 14. Do you have a positive or negative view of General Motors, GM? Very positive, plus 23. Do you have a positive or negative view of Tesla? Negative, minus 20. Wait, GM is plus 23, Tesla is minus 20. Do you have a positive or negative view of Elon Musk? Negative, minus 20. And this is a nice crosstab for a man who likes to think he's big with the kids. Among young people age 18 to 34 in this CNBC poll, they say they are very positive on EVs, on electric vehicles in general. Generally, young people are positive plus 19 on electric vehicles, but on Tesla, they are minus 23. All the people in that poll must be paid. They must be fraudsters who just love waste. Who's going to tell him? I think the protests are going to continue.